It's time for Waking Up with Wesley. Today's forecast and weather-wide discussion with WLOX First Alert Weather's senior meteorologist, Wesley Williams.
Waking Up with Wesley is sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers on Beatline Road in Long Beach.
Good morning and happy Friday. I'm senior meteorologist Wesley Williams. Thank you for waking up with Wesley. So as we gear up for the first weekend of fall, we've got a cool front that arrived just in time to bring us a little bit more of that fall feel. Are you ready for some cooler morning temperatures? We'll tell you how low that thermometer will go. And we'll also take a look at a dry stretch of weather for next week, which will lead right on into Cruisin the Coast 2025. Yeah, it's already that time of year, folks. October begins next week, and cruising will be right at the start of that. If you're new to the local area, I'll school you in some cruising lingo, but of course us longtime residents, we know what it's all about. Anyway, let's get started looking outside this morning. You look out the window in Hancock County and looks like a blue sky, a pretty beautiful Friday morning. Now, a bit more of a cloud cover type morning over Gulfport, right on the coast looking out into the Gulf. You can see just a few breaks of sun in those clouds. Also looks like there's a good amount of cloud cover at I-10 in Gulfport near 605. Over toward Biloxi, over Back Bay, looks like a good amount of clouds on the coast, but you can see in the distance in the north, there's actually not much cloud cover. So a lot of these clouds that we are finding on our cams, which are located at the coast, that's where most of the clouds are. Once you go generally to the north, you kind of get away from some of those clouds. And the reason why is this: we are watching a cool front move into the area. And so most of the clouds, most of the rain with this is actually pushing out to our south, out to our east. And the air is turning drier. So all of those rain showers we saw yesterday, they're getting kicked to the curb. They're Florida's problem, they're Georgia's problem, and the northern Gulf's problem as we head into Friday. I think our local rain chances are going to be fighting a losing battle because as the air turns drier, it will become more difficult for rain to form. Now look at this. I'm telling you it's drier, and we've got the numbers to prove it. The dew points yesterday morning were in the middle and upper 70s. The dew points this morning, upper 60s. So we have noticed that change. It's slight, but it is there, that it feels less humid for your Friday morning. And this effect will only get even more noticeable heading into the weekend. So if you have some plans over the weekend, plan on it feeling even less humid than it does today. So there are those dew point numbers into the 60s in most areas, and we're looking at the temperatures. Those have also kind of dropped too. So compared to yesterday morning, it's not quite as warm. Instead of it being 78, it's 71 in a place like Gulfport. And most of the maps showing 60s. So for most of Mississippi, it is a cool Friday morning. And look at the forecast in the WLOX weather app. This afternoon, we might not even hit 90 degrees. So maybe, a little bit of a fall feel in that regard, especially when you consider the lower humidity. Now, the way we can get to this lower humidity is by getting the wind coming in from the north, helping to pull in less muggy air. And we get the wind from the north this morning. We get the wind from the north by the middle of the day, but what's this? Look at the afternoon on Friday afternoon. Winds coming in from the Gulf, from the southwest. And maybe if we get enough of that wind from the Gulf, which is basically a little Gulf breeze, that could maybe allow for a few pop-up showers to form. So we're going to run through your futurecast here. As you wake up this morning and walk out the door, it looks like there's not much rain to find on the Mississippi coast. But as we go to later today, and like I said, for the morning hours, we're looking at this dry wind coming in from the north. So with the dry winds coming in from the north, that's going to make it feel a little less muggy. Now, I'm going to fast forward to the afternoon, and at some point when we get that daytime heating, you get the sea breeze effect to happen, and that's what allows for just a little bit of wind to come in from the Gulf, and that'll happen right along the coast as we go into the afternoon. And that'll be basically between like 11 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon when you get that little Gulf breeze to get going. And right where you have this clashing between the winds coming off the Gulf and the winds coming down from the land, there's going to be this zone here that maybe you get a few clouds to kick up, maybe you get a few stray rain showers to kick up. Let's see if the computer model agrees with my assessment on this as we go through time. I want you to watch this general zone here where we might get a little bit of a sea breeze, line of clouds and rain showers to develop. And it doesn't really show it happening during the noon hour, but we already see cloud number one, cloud 1, not cloud 9, cloud 1 show up as we go to the afternoon, 1 p.m. And look at that, right where I said it would be. You get this one little pop-up shower. Now, maybe the model is showing it much larger than it will actually be in reality, but maybe somewhere over Jackson County, somewhere over Harrison County, somewhere over eastern Hancock County, or over the Alabama line, there might be just one or two of these little stray showers that pops up in that zone where you get that clashing of that sea breeze coming in from the Gulf and that drier continental wind coming in behind the front. And wherever you get that clashing of winds, that's where you can get just, you have surface level convergence, the winds clashing from the Gulf, the winds clashing from the land. They can't go down underground, so they actually rise. When you have convergence at the surface, it causes a rising air current, and that rising air is what leads to clouds growing up, rain clouds growing up in the vertical. So that's where we're going to watch for some of these showers possibly to develop. Right now the modeling showing that primarily near the Alabama line, but you know, this is a night, Friday night, when there's going to be football games across South Mississippi with school football, and you do want to be aware that the rain chance is not zero. So one or two of our football fields might get a little sprinkling of raindrops later on this evening. The rain chance is not 0%. If you have some Friday night football plans in South Mississippi, there could be a few lingering showers into parts of the evening. Now after midnight, we're pretty much going to see that chance for rain drop to basically 0%. And the temperatures are going to drop too. How low will they go? Well, look at this showing us on the coast, we could drop into the 60s after midnight. Inland, we could drop to the 60s around midnight, and middle 60s by tomorrow morning. So that's what we're seeing, those overnight lows dropping into the middle 60s. The only exception will be for places right next to the water. Water temperatures are still in the 80s. So a place like Waveland, a place like Pass Christian, maybe Bay St. Louis, maybe parts of Biloxi, Ocean Springs. If you're right next to the waters on the coast, it might be hard to get the temperature to drop into the 60s by tomorrow morning. But for most areas, especially to the north, or especially near and north of I-10, that's where I think you will find those middle 60s, possibly as we go into the overnight hours after midnight, which is also known as Saturday morning. So there you can see all of Pearl River, Stone, and George counties finding those middle 60s late tonight into early Saturday. And this is going to be a trend that continues. The cool mornings, it's not just a one and done. You got another one, not just Saturday morning, but also Sunday morning, another round of middle to lower 60s. And then even Monday morning, we're still seeing mostly 60s. So that trend will likely continue. So let's put it all together for you, what we talked about. How as you step out the door this morning, you might notice it's slightly less humid and maybe just a little bit cooler than it was yesterday. That effect will be even more noticeable for the weekend mornings. Like we just showed you, will be even cooler tomorrow morning. And while we can't rule out a stray shower today, especially when you get that clash of the sea breeze and the northerly wind on the opposite side of it, maybe there's one or two stray showers. That's why the chance for rain today is not 0%. In case we see that, that's one of the ways we can get a stray pop-up shower today. But I don't think most areas will see rain today. And even if you do get some rain, there will still be many rain-free hours as we gear up for the first weekend of fall, calendar fall. It is going to be a beautiful one. And next week features a long stretch of dry weather leading right on up to Cruisin the Coast 2025. This is a 10-day raw model output for rain, and you're looking at a lot of green there, indicating the rain chances are slim to none for most days. We did have a little tiny shower earlier this morning. It was basically before 5 in the morning, so that's why that red color shows up there for the first part of Friday morning, because there was actually some rain near Bay St. Louis, near Pass Christian earlier this morning. But after that, not much. Like you see, the model is seeing that little bitty pop-up shower as a possibility later today if we get that clash of the sea breeze and the northerly wind. And then it looks like it might be drier beyond that. You got a completely dry weekend, and then we go to next week, and most days, you know, other than the tiniest of stray showers, which is barely not even worth mentioning, there's really not much chance for rain for most days next week, which is going to be just beautiful. You know, it's going to get our roads nice and dry just in time for Cruisin the Coast, which kicks off next weekend, Saturday, October 4th, Sunday, October 5th. The current information is showing green. Green means go for cruising, at least, so looking pretty good there. Our 7-day forecast, looking at a stretch of dry weather. You know, it's not the best when you consider our drought situation. We brought you that update to the drought monitor yesterday, showing that it got a little bit worse. And when we see the next map coming up next Thursday, it will probably get a little bit worse again, or it certainly won't get much better. In order to break free of a drought, you have to have multiple days of rain in a week. If you just get a little one and done rain, that's not going to be enough to help yourself out of a drought. But even though it won't help with the drought, it is looking nice for any outdoor activities, any festivities. The weekend, picture perfect, and you're expecting many rain-free days next week. There's been a lot of talk in the tropics with some activity that is going to be offshore of the East Coast. And while that's not going to really impact us, there will be some impacts to places that are near the Carolinas. So if you have any travel plans out there, there's going to be Hurricane Umberto, which is going to be near the island of Bermuda over the weekend as a major storm potentially. But then there's this other area to the left of Umberto. See, there's Umberto's track near Bermuda. So the big hurricane, that's not going to touch the East Coast. But there's this other area which could become a tropical storm, and that looks like it's on a pretty likely course for the Carolina coast. So if you're hearing people talk a lot about the tropics, that's what they're talking about. We're not really worried about it here on the Gulf Coast because the setup here is one that will steer any tropical weather away from us. We've got this cool front that has moved in, and cool fronts upstairs in the air, there's an upper system that supports the front, and that's going to all kick and steer anything tropical away. So, you know, Umberto's trying to come this way, but it will be steered away because of that cool front and the upper system above it. This other area called Invest 94L is trying to come toward the northwest, but eventually, because of this front and the upper system above the front, that's going to likely steer 94L away from the Gulf, and instead it will possibly come close to the shoreline of the East Coast but not bother us on the Gulf Coast. So, you know, too long didn't read. The Gulf Coast is closed for business as far as tropics is concerned because of the drier air that's coming in behind this front that's setting up and will help to steer any tropical activity away from us. So that's good news. It's exactly what you want to hear as we get closer to Cruisin the Coast. You don't want to hear that there's tropical threats. And for 2025, at least as of today's information, September 26th information, it looks like things are looking pretty good in regards to that. In regards to any tropical impacts locally, we don't have any local concerns for at least the next 5 to 7 days. It's just a dry stretch of weather. So I hope that you make the most of your first weekend of fall and get out there and enjoy the nice, beautiful weather. I've been Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. We'll see you again next time. Thanks for waking up with Wesley.
Waking Up with Wesley has been sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers on Beatline Road in Long Beach.